Good morning, everybody, and I think we'll get started. Welcome to the second in our series of Adroit Project Engineering. Today's topic will be how to bulk create an agent server database. If I can just get a sound check, and if someone can sound off in the comments and just let me know if my audio is coming through correctly, that'd be great. While we wait for that, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Dean Gibson. I'm a Adroit Project Engineer, Design Engineer for Adroit. Thanks, Justin. Excellent. So what we'll do is we'll move on then. So today what we're going to be talking about is bulk creation of agents in our agent server. For those of you that are interested, all of this will be based on Adroit 10.041. There was also a new release on its way, 10.05, which I believe is in final testing phase, which we're all looking forward to. All right, guys, so moving on. Today what we're going to, like I said, we're dealing with the Adroit plugin. For those of you that are unaware of this, it is an additional installation from our additional components installation. You can find this on your DVDs, on your Adroit DVDs, or on your USB sticks. You'll see it's the first option in the top. Mine's grayed out, as you'll see. Good morning, John. Nice little interruption there, Mr. Duncan. The Adroit SCADA Excel add-in is the tool we're going to be working with. You will need to have Microsoft Excel, Office Excel installed on your computer. The versions supported for this plugin are the earliest or the oldest version that we support is Excel 2010. All installations have to be 32-bit, so if you do have a Office installation that is 64-bit, this plugin will not work, and that is to do with that 32-bit, 64-bit application. All right, so typically what you would do is you'd come in here, you'd check on your Adroit SCADA Excel install, you'd move it on, click the next buttons, click your way through the install. This will install the little plugin. This plugin connects to the Adroit API. So this is our access point into the software package. For those of you that do like to do a bit of coding and development, this is also a good example of what you can do with the Adroit API. All right, so once you've installed it, the next thing we're going to do is we're then going to go along and we're going to create a Excel spreadsheet. As you can see there, I've created one. Guys, for those of you that are playing along and have been listening to the last episode, you'll know that I am basing all of this on our Adroit certification exam. So what I typically do in the previous exercise, what I showed is how I create a document folder. So I'm going to create this Adroit plugin spreadsheet here, and then once I've created it, I can then open him up, and while he's opening up, there he goes. And then we'll just bring him onto our screen here so we can all see. As you'll see here, this spreadsheet I've done a little bit of work in it. There's only one tab in here currently. This is the IO schedule. For those of you that have worked with SCADA and automation before, I'm assuming that's most of my audience, you'll notice that this is a IO schedule. So inside here, I have broken down all my tags that I'm going to be using in my project. This is defined using our object model, or context model, if you will, for the naming convention of these tags. Oops, excuse me, that wasn't supposed to work. Do that. So in here, the first one here you'll see is it belongs to a plant item called a water pump. The data type in the PLC is a Boolean. The agent type I'm going to be using for this particular bit is a digital agent, and the agent's name is then going to be called JUP_BAT_WTP_STS. This is all defined in my functional design spec. It's maybe another topic for another webinar, but we can come back to that one. And then obviously is description, the raw data range. You'll see that I've also then selected the engineering data range, and then units of measurements, whether this is alarmed or not, data logged, and then what the address is in the PLC. This particular PLC is actually addressed through an OPC server, so it's all item addressing. All right, so that's this little spreadsheet, but in here what we're really interested in is up at the top on our ribbons. For those of you that don't know, these little tabs up at the top on your Excel spreadsheet or in any Microsoft document, these are called ribbons. We also refer to in our designers, in our Smart U designers, as these little toolbars on the top as ribbons. And you'll see that there's one here called Adroit. All right, and this is this is part of the plugin. And inside here is where we will be working and connecting and creating things. We'll be using this Adroit ribbon. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start up my agent server, and we're going to load him up. I'm loading a blank WGP file here. I created it this morning. So this will be a live demo. Very exciting. All right. While we wait for that to start up, guys, if there's any questions in the comment section, I don't see any coming through yet. So we'll just keep going then. All right. I see my agent server's almost there. There he goes. He's busy loading his blank WGP file now. And we'll see how we go. Let's have a look here. If there's any more comments. No comments. All right, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe these videos, please, to the Adroit website for more content and for more information about Mitsubishi and Adroit products. I know the guys have put a lot of work into these streams of webinars. All right, my agent server has started up, and my Smart UI server as well. The next thing we're going to do is we now need to connect our spreadsheet to the agent server. Now, typically what we'll do is we can either specify that connection under the computer name up here at the top and then the agent server's name, or we can just leave them all blank, both of these blank. And when we hit our connect button here next to the connection name, it'll automatically connect to the local agent server. And as that connects, you'll see that a whole bunch of things then become available for us. All right. So first thing we want to do is we want to configure our templates, what we would call our Excel template. We do this by selecting our configuration template. Click on him. I've had mine already pre-set up. Yours might look a little bit different the first time you load it. Typically what you'll have is you'll have this little dialog box, configuration template, that'll pop up. It's broken down into two areas. The first area is the available agent types, which I've then selected each agent that I want to be able to work with. And then what I do is under each one of those, I then select, for example, analog, and then I move our available slots then into our selected slots. All right, so that then defines each one of these agent types, selected types, will then become its own spreadsheet in the workbook, in the Excel workbook. All right. Each one of these slots will then become a column in each one of those spreadsheets. So I'm quite happy. I've preset mine up. This is the one I normally work with on my projects. These are the most commonly used slots I find that I work with. So we're just going to go along and we're going to click finish here. And what's going to happen now is it's going to think about its life for a little bit and then define those spreadsheets below. And there we go. There you'll see all of them are now connected. There's my IO spreadsheet. I'm just going to click and drag him so he's not at the front, so I know where he is. Then it breaks it down into analogs, booleans, digitals, expressions, and then each one of those, obviously, as you see, for example, let's work with our analogs here. You'll see there it creates a column for the agent name, its description, engineering minimum, engineering maximum, the alarm set points, initial value, low, low, high alarm points, the raw minimum and raw maximum. This is our device minimum and maximum. The raw value coming from the PLC will then appear in these columns. Okay, so a couple things here. What I'm going to do now is we're going to move back up to our ribbon here. You'll notice that the first thing that we're going to be looking at here is something under the select sheet. So in here, I can drop down and I can go along and I can select a sheet that I want to work with. I'm just going to say, just a little message box popped up there. You guys can't see it, but it's just prompting me to say, do you want to refresh these? I'm just going to say no for now. So we can select our sheets from there. The next thing we can do is we can refresh these sheets. So that goes and reads our database for us. Now I can go and do a refresh on all our sheets, but for this, I'm going to just refresh my selected sheet. So I'm just going to go click it. I get a prompt, a little message box. Again, you guys can't see this message box, unfortunately. Problem with my streaming software, but I'm just going to say yes on that. And it will then go and grab all of the analogs in there. Now, currently, we only have one agent that exists. It's the sample analog agent. This is created by default. So I'm just going to open that up. So if we come along here, and let's just move him to the top. There he is. All right, so as you can see, we've currently got our audit agent selected. I'm just going to go along and click on basic, filter out my basics, go along, select analog, and there is my sample. So if I come in here and I open this guy up, my sample analog, I think you guys can't see that, so let's just change him. Okay, transition, there we go. You guys should now be able to see the sample analog. What I can do inside here is these values should match my values on my spreadsheet. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go along and I'm going to change my device span. Let's make him 10,000. And I click update. And then if I go along and then refresh just the selected sheet, you'll see now that your raw engineering, raw max has now changed to 10,000 and our raw value has now scaled up by 1 decimal place. So this is bi-directional as well. We can then go along and I can select that raw analog. I can change it back to 1,000. And then what we'll do is in the top here, you'll see that I've got these two options here to set and get values. I'm just going to go along and set that value. And then if we go and refresh our analog, sample analog, there we see he's updated. So here we can see that we've got bi-directional configuration. One of the great things about this is for commissioning. Yes, Damien, you are correct. OBS does only stream. Unfortunately, OBS and my desktop don't agree. I've had Mr. Murray fighting with me quite a bit, trying to get this thing, or fighting with OBS, I should say, trying to get that to work. But unfortunately, we just have to carry on as we are. All right, so what I'm going to do now is, as you can see, we can update and refresh and set and get values from our agent server. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to go along and I'll just turn off that configurator for now. We don't need to see him. So in here, we're going to go along and we're going to go and create some agents, and we're going to scan those analog agents and those digital agents that we're going to create today. And we can show you guys how exactly all this works. Right, so I'm going to head back to my IO schedule. In here, I'm going to first filter my IO schedule. You'll see that I've got filtering set up on my IO schedule here. I'm just going to go along and select my agents. I'm going to go and grab those agents that I'm going to be working with and their agent descriptions as well. I'm going to copy them and then go back to my analog spreadsheet, my analog template, and I'm going to paste these guys in. We're just going to paste the values. You won't see the pop-up, but basically I'm just pasting the values of them. I don't need to bring the formatting across. All right, and then highlight these agents, and then what I'm going to do is we're going to go along and you'll see that you've got a add agent option here on your ribbon. I click on him. I get a message prompting me that the 12 analog agents were created, and I'm just going to go and once they've created, set the slots. I'm just going to click on my set values, and again there my agent descriptions have been set. So if we open up our configurator again, and there you'll see all of those agents have now been created, okay, with their descriptions. Now obviously the first time we create these guys, we haven't set their values. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go along, I'm just going to refresh this particular sheet, say yes, little dialog that's popped up, and it's set its values to default, so we know that. So if I go back to my IO schedule, I can go and look at my raw values, and these guys are all set to 0 to 100. So we're going to go make those changes the same, 0 to 100. I'm just going to default all of my values 0 to 100, and I'm going to go and copy these guys and then just go and put them in. All right, so those are those set points. I think we've missed one or two here. Let's just go along and copy these guys in as well, paste them in. All right, and once they're all changed, we can then go along, highlight our selection and set all those values in, and those values have now been updated and are now reflected in those agent types, in each one of those agents. Okay, our mixing temperatures, they're a little bit different. Mixing temperatures, our engineering range is 0 to 45, but our raw data range is 0 to 495. So we can go back to our analog agents, and we go, our engineering range is 0 to 45. Let's just set those all up. Our raw range is 4095, and if we go along, highlight those set points, copy them, paste them in. Let's have a look. We've got our target mix time. Let's have a look. Targeting mix time. Our mixing time there is also 0 to 9000. So we'll just keep them as they are for now. Our outflow of our tank, Let's have a look here. Outflow of our valve is 0 to 60. Again, that is a 1-to-1 ratio, so we can just make all of these guys 0 to 60, 0 to 60. And what we're going to do then is our tank level, we'll just make 100 as well. All right, and that is it. All of our set points have now been added. We're just going to set these values. Again, I'll highlight the agents that we're working with. Marius, I'll answer that question in a little bit. Let me just finish up here. Once I've highlighted my values, I'm then just going to go along and set those values. Okay. All right, guys. So that's how we set and retrieve values and how we create agents. I'm just going to refresh the selected sheet again. And there we go. There they're all updated as in our configurator. Marius, yes, you can connect to a remote agent server. I believe, although I might stand corrected, but I do believe it will consume a license. But I believe we might have to just confirm that with our dev team. But I do believe that this connection does require a remote UI connection for the agent server. Okay, so here we go. We've got our agents created. Just so that you guys can see, I'm going to go along and we're going to open up our heating. I'm just going to go and open up, double click on that agent. As you can see there, we've got our all our set points in. What I haven't added is our units of measurement. So we can go along and we can do that as well if we want. I'll go back to my IO schedule. We should have units of measurement in here. Yes, we do. I'm just going to highlight all of those as well and copy them. I don't know if this returns them in the same order. We might have to do a little bit of shuffling here. I just want to make sure that those are just the values. So let's have a look. We've got our temperatures. We can set them in there. Liters and kilograms. We can paste those in there. Oops, that's not right. Mixing temp. We're short here. That is because, as I said, we need to just change these around because it hasn't returned them in the same order that I added them. So we have to be aware of that, guys. When you do add your agents, mine weren't sorted alphabetically in my IO schedule. And then when I went ahead and created them, they returned them in an alphanumeric order. So we just have to be aware of that when working with our set points. Mixing time, there it is. Paste them in. And then I think our last here is our kilograms a second, which is our outflow. And last but not least, our tank, which is 8 kilograms. Let's just delete these guys. We don't need them anymore. Highlight and then set our values. All right. So that's how we configure the agents. Yes, Damien, setup security has to be set up as a standard agent configurator remote connection. Thank you very much for that. For those of you that aren't aware, Damien is one of our engineers / developers. He's based in Poland, I believe. But shout out to Mr. Damien. and all the great work he's done on the product. Okay, what we can do now is I can go ahead and you'll see that we've got some other little buttons on the top here that we can look at. One of them is an auto refresh. If I check this on and I specify my refresh rate, that's in seconds, it'll then update the spreadsheet. Currently, I'm not too fussed about that right now, as my agents aren't scanned to anything. This is not live, but we can go ahead now and we can enable that, and then we can see what's going on. All right, guys. I see that we're actually this has gone on a little bit longer than I expected. We've only got another 5 minutes, but I'm going to push through. We're going to keep going, I think. The webinars typically only run half an hour, but mine I think is going to run a little bit further. So let's keep going. All right, guys. So same sort of thing for our digital agents here as well. If we go along, I'm going to go to my IO schedule, filter out everything except my digitals. Select all of those agents. Copy those guys there. Wait, we've missed out a couple here. That's fine. Let's copy those guys. We can go to our digital agents, and inside our digital here, we can go ahead, paste those in. Oops, that's not right. Let's paste without formatting. And again, I can go along here and then click on add these agents in. And it tells me I've been prompted and told that 15 agents have been created. I'm going to go and set these values, these descriptions, and we're going to just refresh this spreadsheet here. And there are all my digitals along with my sample digital that's been created. There they all are available to us. And again, we can go in and change these text values if we want. So for example, I've got an agitator here that runs and mixes our tank contents. I can just change our text values, running, stopped, and we can just head along and set our values in there. And again, that will then update in our agent server. All right, guys, so that's our agent creation and setting and retrieving values. Any questions so far? Looking at the comment section, no questions yet. I will open up at the end of this to a full Q&A session, so don't worry too much if you don't have questions just yet. We will be answering them as we go along. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is now I want to be able to add these scans to my, I want to be able to scan to my front end device, my OPC server in this case. So I'm going to go along and I'm going to select the agents that I'm going to be working with. And then you'll notice that we have a couple of little drop down boxes here. Wait, you guys can't see it because my configurator is in the way. So let's go ahead and just remove that guy. There we go. So there he is. In the top here, you'll see that we've got a little drop-down box here. It's called scanning. And what I can do here is I can select this and say add these analogs to my scan sheet. And these guys will then be dropped in to a scan sheet. Currently, I have no device selected, but you'll notice that by default, the agents are selected and the slots are selected. There's no device or address for them yet. We still need to add those. So we can go along and we can click on our drop-down box. You guys aren't going to see this, but that will drop down and list all of my devices. I'm going to go and select the device that I want to work with. With any luck, there it is. Great stuff. Guys, you might want to add these devices to your WGP file before scanning. But you'll notice that I've just gone and selected it, and in my configurator, they have now gone and created a new device inside there called JUPBAT_00. That is my naming convention that I'm using in this particular project for these devices. All right. Okay, so that's the devices now created. So what I can do here is you'll notice that the address is a default address. If this was a Modbus device or a Modbus style protocol, it would default to your 40,000 range, I believe. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go along and I'm going to copy this device, and we're going to go and just paste them in to all of them. Now what we need to do is obviously we need to now bring in the addressing. Where are we here? Let's just move along. I did create there is a list of these devices and their scan addressing. IO schedule, you need to come to here, please, Mr. IO schedule. So inside here, I'm going to filter out our analog, just to filter out, so we've only got our analogs displayed. And you'll notice here, guys, that I have broken my scanning down into two areas. Those are the OPC addresses that require an output enabled in these particular addresses here. And these are the addresses that do not require, they're only inputs, they only scan from the field. All right. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to just grab this block here and just bring it across with us to our scan list. I'm just going to paste them in. Let's make it so we can see exactly what we're looking at here. Okay, now I'm going to go and bring in our different scans, just so that I can see what I'm doing here as well. I'm just going to bring in my descriptions as well. There we go. Those haven't been brought in by default yet, but we'll use those addresses there. Okay, so the first one that I need, my first address that I need, is my feeder A process point. That'll be feeder A PV, that is from our field process variable. So that is ingredient mass A is my address, and I'm going to just copy those across. Ingredient mass H2O, that's this guy down here. All right, our target, that is the set point. The set points, or SPs, will be what we are writing out to the field to set up these targets. Okay. And target B. All right. This tank value does not have a scan point, so I will be removing him. We don't need to worry about him. I'm just going to mark him for removal. Just get rid of him. We've got our discharge rate. It's our outflow valve flow rate. That's this guy over here. Target mixing time. Target mixing time. It's our set point. Actual mixing time is our process variable. And then we've got our last two, which are our temps. And we've got our actual mixing temperature, which is our process variable. And again, target temperature is in there. Right. All our scan points are in. Let's get rid of those. We don't need it. Get rid of this line over here because we don't need him. Okay, next thing we want to do is we want to just adjust our scan rates. So I'm going to set mine to 1000 milliseconds. Just highlight a lot of them, change them, And then I just need to define what output flags or what flags we're going to be working with, IO flags we're going to be working with here. In our case, it's just output enabled. The first one is a process variable, so we don't need to worry about that. Next one is a set point. We want to output enable him. Next one, again, process variable, set point, process variable, set point. And our ingredient mass A, process variable, and set point. Right. And there we have configured our schedule, our IOs, our scanning schedule. I'm just going to highlight a lot of them. And now you'll note our ribbon has changed a bit on this particular schedule. You'll see at the top here we now have things that don't say add or get or set tags or slots. We've now got a scan agent. I'm going to go ahead and click our scan. And you'll note that 2 of those have returned invalid. Now, I expected this because this is actually a built-in error. Basically, what I've done here is I've put in the wrong addressing for our IO. So this is validated, and OPC will validate its IO and will not allow us to scan an invalid IO tag, and we will then be returned. Obviously, if you get your scanning wrong on a Modbus device, or a Siemens device or a Mitsubishi device where those memory addresses are available, it will scan them in. So you will need to double check this, guys. It is very important. Oops, I see that my configurator is still visible. Let's just get rid of him. Sorry, guys. That did cover our little scan agent. For those of you that didn't see it, I highlighted my tags and I clicked on this scan agent button up at the top here. Okay, cool. So these tags are now scanned in. Just to prove that, I'm going to open up our configurator again. And if we go ahead and open up our device inside our configurator here, you'll see that we have all of our agents are now scanned in. And please note that their IO flags have been set, output enabled. Please note that the device is not started. Okay, so we can do that from our spreadsheet, I believe. Can we? We used to be able to do it. Looks like we can't. So that's fine. We'll just go ahead and then start our device up. And I'll say OK and save my changes. That started up my OPC server. You guys can't see that, but don't worry too much. But now if I go ahead to my analogs and I'm going to turn on my auto refresher, and we're just going to give it a second, just 10 seconds to be more accurate. That should update with the values from the field. There it goes. And there are all my values coming in from the field. So we can just go ahead and turn our auto refresh off. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and highlight these values here. And then I'm just going to go and run my OPC server, just start a batch up here, auto start. And if I go ahead and set and get my values, there they are updating as those values come in from the PLC. Okay. All right, guys. So we're 10 minutes over. There are other functionality within here. You can also do logging as well. Works pretty much on the same concept as our scanning. And then obviously alarming for those of you. Let's just see if we can move my face away there. And we have these different things over here, alarming and data logging as well, where we can view those questions. But that'll pretty much wrap it up, just to give you guys an overview of all of this. Obviously, we haven't scanned our digitals in either, but the same concept applies. And then with data logging as well. All right, so I'd like to thank everybody for their patience, and I hope that was useful. I'm going to turn this over to the comment section for any questions that anybody might have. A really good tool that we've got here. I'm actually hoping that we can do a bit more development on this tool. I think it's a great way to interact with the agent server, particularly when you're dealing with large databases. I've found that this tool is also very good when it comes to systems that I'm not familiar with. So if I get called out to a site where there's a problem that I need to resolve, or if anybody's got problems on their system, I can pull in and I can have a great overview in a spreadsheet format of what tags they've got and what they're doing with it. A great tool also, particularly when you start looking at alarming. I know that it's not a subject or not a sheet that we did cover today. Maybe in the future if there's enough of a request for it. All right, let's have a look in the comments. Is there any questions? I don't see any questions. So clearly I've explained my subject well enough. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for their time. And I'm going to be ending it here, I guess. Guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Yes, I see that Marius has specified. Yes, he only has a 64-bit Office. Unfortunately, Marius, that 64-bit Office will be useful when you get a 64-bit version of Adroit. That's coming down the pipeline, I know. But unfortunately, 64-bit applications don't work with 32-bit applications. That's just the nature of the beast, of the software beast, I'm afraid. So we've only brought ours out in a 32-bit flavor. I would suggest maybe having a chat to your IT department about that, or whoever procures your software, seeing if they can maybe get you a 32-bit application. But thank you very much, guys, and thank you for your time. For those of you, Marius, yes, Damien, I think that's a good option as well. Let's just install it on a VMware. Obviously, just getting a 32-bit Office installation is the trick here. Okay, guys. Thank you for your time. I'm going to leave the stream open for a second or two. I see that there are questions coming through. But yeah, we'll leave it there for now. Thanks so much, guys.